I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago in beautiful Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and one of my Forest Service colleagues told me they had to give back $5 million. $5 million out of the Rocky Mountain Research Station to pay for the fires in Northern California. And it just keeps going up and keep going up. We start looking at global climate change throughout the western United States, folks. We're going to see more rain than snow. Precipit's going to stay about the same, but it's going to come as rain rather than snow. That means faster runoff down the coulees. We don't have the dams, enough dams in place to hold that in place. But the biggest thing is we change the type of precipitation we've got, folks. We're going to change the vegetation. And juniper and ponderosa pine and Douglas fir like this changing climate. And the grasses and the sagebrush doesn't. So we're going to see more and more juniper, we're going to see more Doug fir, we're going to see more ponderosa pine working its way out into former grasslands and sagebrush. Doggone boy, my machine really likes this free federal wireless. And so with that, here's the pattern that's going to jump up on us. We're going to see less stream flows during the fall and winter. We're going to see more catastrophic wildfires. By that I mean higher intensity, more areas being burned. What comes in on these big hot fires? Particularly on the federal lands. A lot of annual grasses. Cheatgrass, Japanese brome, okay? And that becomes a vicious downward cycle. As we build up the amount of annual grass on those sites, they burn more often, they burn hotter. With the drier, or with the change in precipitation pattern, what the West is going to experience is more intense, expensive fires. How do we deal with it? Forest Service already gave up $5 million. You folks are the cheap answer, the environmental answer. Already the state of Montana is encouraging homeowners to thin timber stands around their McMansion. Okay? Cut it back, thin out the trees. What happens though when you thin the trees? You get more grass. And it might even be perennial grasses. Okay? More firefighters are killed in grass fires than in forest fires. And that's what we're finding in British Columbia and Alberta, where they've been ahead of us for a number of years, thinning trees to protect communities. Now they've got so much grass growing in these areas that they're actually making the communities more at risk than they were before. Southwest Montana, western Montana, most of the ranches that sell now are being purchased by out-of-state landowners. They want them to hunt elk, and mule deer, and fish. Or up in the Great Falls area, they want to hunt sharp-tailed grouse and hunts. So they want all of those nasty old hay meadows, dryland hay and crop meadows, converted to good bird habitat. So again, I ask, who's going to do this work? What's it going to cost? Can the communities afford it? When we start looking at reducing fire severity, these really severe fires in California, one of my former graduate students runs the last big Spanish land grant outside of San Diego. Okay? They had those horrific fires 2 years ago around Escondido. Remember, we saw it all on the news. They're shutting the interstates down. Guess where the state, county, and federal firefighters met to knock those fires down? On Roberts Ranch. Because that was the only place that they could get in and access the fires and depress them because of the livestock grazing. Every place that they pulled the livestock off, every place that they let nature be, turned into a firestorm that killed firefighters. So they fell back and met and fought and saved the town of Escondido by fighting the fire on a livestock grazed ranch.
Was that point ever brought out, Clayton?
It was. And interestingly enough, Robert is now the civilian chairman of the county fire district. And a year ago he said, don't tell anybody, but since you guys don't know him, I can tell you, he bought 1,500 head of goats And now he hires his goats out to the community to graze goats. Says he runs 300 head of black cows for respectability and 1,500 head of goats for money.